The workers of Siltforge have all they need to enjoy a hard-working, but stress-free life. Senzel, on the other hand, finds their life extremely stress-filled. They have always expected bad tides to get longer and more frequent, but they were caught off guard by how quickly the bad weather had come. Senzel examines the carnage and thinks about how Rosin was lucky this disastrous bad tide struck while the workers were distracted by the new community amenities. Or this could have turned public sentiment even further against their industrious leader. With Rosin consumed by his personal projects, Senzel knows that they're going to be largely on their own, coordinating the next public work. Luckily, Kenna volunteers to find a diversion solution in their free time, presenting Senzel with a variety of ways to get Badwater out of the drinking water, while simultaneously wasting it. Senzel thinks they have a stroke of inspiration. What if, instead of a sewer that expels the bad water, it simply moves it further down the system? Kenna nixes the idea, for now, and they compromise on a blueprint that includes both a Badwater diversion and a power expansion. Plan in hand, Senzel directs the builders, and the ground is broken on his Badwater diversion system. Hello, and welcome back to Siltforge. So as we know, today's episode is going to be all about building a Badwater diversion system, because as we saw last episode, this is not going to be adequate for, what was it, 5 or 6 day long bad tides anymore. It is going to fail us, and we are going to have no drinking water and no crops. Now, I have gone a bit back and forth on what I wanted to do here. My initial plan was to move the Badwater all the way under here and have it come out at this part of the river, which may still be what we do in the future. But I think for today, we're going to go with the much shorter distance for a sewer system. And we're just going to take our water from these source blocks, and if it is bad water, move it underneath this reservoir and have it come out right over here where our Badwater diversion already is. And then we will add some power generation to this bit of the map so that we're not completely wasting all of the power that's going to come from the Badwater here. But I'm going to leave the power for afterwards, since it is much less of an urgent need. I don't know if the next thing is going to be a bad tide, but it might be. So we're just going to start, I guess, tunneling. So it looks like the exit of the water over here is going to be exactly the same height as the water in this reservoir, which does mean that I only need to bring this stuff down a single block to get it underneath, or I guess 2 blocks to get it underneath here. So we are going to go to landscaping, unlock double dynamite. I'm just going to, I guess, do a 4x4. We are going to need to also get the water down that far over here. Now we are making dynamite. I don't think we're storing a ton of it. We're storing 119. We may actually have enough for this. So then we will just detonate all this. Build some more stairs. And then we will detonate all of this. And build some stairs. And then we will just get our view down here to this height. We will unlock tunnels. Here they are, 2,000 science points. We have that. And then I'm just going to build a tunnel from both sides. And then link that up. I probably could have done 1 by 1, but I think they build tunnels faster if they are 2 by 2. At least that is the rumor. So I believe that should not wipe us out on either dynamite or planks, because these are going to be 6 planks. We have, let's see, 457, so we'll probably be fine. Now, while they are busy doing this, we can also get started on pressurizing this area. So I'm going to start on building our wall. So we are going to build sluices here to let clean water through. So we're not going to close above downstream depth, but we are going to close above a contamination of 0 on those sluices. We are also going to build levees on top of those. And then for all of this, I'm going to have platforms and then 3 wide overhangs, which I will unlock for 550 science points. And then I will continue that all the way along before building levees on top of all of this. Now I will need to wait a minute before I finish this final bit. But of course, once this is fully done, it'll stop water from flowing through. But the problem is that beavers also cannot flow through if I'm stopping the water. And then over here, I will build some storage for it, honestly. Because it is taking so dang long for them to do any of this. And, you know, I guess that makes sense because they need to have materials or whatever. And we have a drought approaching, which is not going to be an issue. If it was a bad tide, then I would be a little worried, but this should be fine. So since this drought is going to knock out our power, I'm also going to build us 2 builders' huts. And I'm going to set them to a lower workplace priority. And then once this drought hits, since we'll pause all of this, or almost all of this, we'll have all the builders go over here and start building stuff. Oh, and our drought has hit. So I will pop on the engine, and then I will pause everything that is not a corn-producing building over here. This will produce about 740 horsepower, which will mostly power these. And then everybody else will hopefully go and be either a builder or a hauler. And they have. Which should rather dramatically speed up this whole process. And our drought has ended, so let me just make sure we've got all this. Now we are going to run the risk here of draining all of our reservoir out of the edge of the map. Which is not something I'm keen on doing, I'll be honest. So before they finish up here, I'm going to see about just cutting them off on this side once all of the beavers are gone. Get out of here, little guy. There you go. So I'm going to delete these paths. And then I'm going to build both of our sluices. I'm going to set them to close below contamination of 0.1%. And then that should hopefully mean that they no longer try to build the tunnel from this side. They should only be building it from the industrial side here. I'm also going to once again delete all of these so that we could regather the planks, because it does look like we have run out of planks. I actually don't know where they're getting the planks from to build all this. I guess maybe they're taking from these piles. I don't know if they can do that. I'm also going to reopen some of these jobs. I'm realizing now, looking at this, that I don't actually need to close this off. If I just build the dam up 3 high here, and then eventually shut this, I don't actually think I need it to be pressurized to send water down this channel. That'll be something to test in a minute. So with this tunnel finally being complete. I mean, they have 3 more here that they got to do, but it's pretty much complete. Besides them completing this part of the dam, there is something that one might call a big glaring problem with this design that some people might be yelling about in the comments. We have a second water source up here that drains into this reservoir. Everything we have done so far is going to be pointless if this continues to drain into here. Let's fix that. I am going to build us a way of getting up here. And then for up here, while again, I may eventually hook this up into our little sewer system and have it actually pump this Badwater down into the rest of our system while a bad tide is happening. I almost called it a bad time there, which is true. I think the way I'm going to avoid it up here is instead going to be just keeping it from happening, really. I'm not even going to give it an outlet. And then for this one, I'll unlock impermeable floors. Close below contamination 1%. Nope, 0%. That's just going to be the method for that currently. I'll eventually hook it up to the whole system, but that's just going to be the easiest thing to do for now. Oh, and we have a bad tide approaching. That means we need to finish this stuff up a lot quicker. So first of all, I'm going to set all of this and the stuff down at the far edge of here to be higher priority. Then I am going to pause this stuff again. Everything except for our corn. And we are going to place down some emergency builders huts. And then we will hope with all hope that this is finished. But I'm not the world's most optimistic about our chances here. Let's turn them up to 24-hour working time. Oh, they are close. Oh, but that's going to be no cigar if they don't finish this, please. Oh, this is going to be so down to the wire. Okay, so that may be fine. It is not fine. Oh, it's not fine at all. Okay, let's figure out what's going on here. This is letting water through. Okay. Oh, that's set to the wrong thing, so that should be closed below contamination 1%. So that's going to flow out there. This we will need to open, and some of our beavers may get contaminated. Yeah. Uh-oh. Okay, we'll open that up so that this drains. Oh, get out of the contamination, please. Oh, but they're still going. Oh my god. This is disastrous. Okay. Well, that's done at least. This is not what I wanted. Okay. Okie doke. We're gonna pause everything over here. Pause, pause, pause. Don't come over here anymore. I mean, actually just don't come over here anymore. Okay. So, this has gone poorly. This has gone poorly. This worked. This will work once we actually have it pressurized, but currently lacking the ability to pressurize the Badwater, it'll just overflow here. Yep, okay. So that is not what we want. Why is the Badwater spilling into here? Because this is not set to close above a contamination of 0. Okay, this is going very, very poorly. Wow. Okay. Okay. Alright, so this they can start building on again. So, this will just have to be drained, and this will have to be contaminated for now. And I guess this is as good of a time as any to come down here to well-being and unlock decontamination pods. These take power. They take some resources. Mostly extract once they are built. And we will build those. Oh, geez. So we have 7 unwell beavers. I will build us 7 decontamination pods. This is not really necessary. We'll probably just stay with these 4. They're going... What are they? Oh my god. Okay, so we now have 12 unwell beavers. This is not going well. Oh boy. So those 12 unwell beavers, as usual, will turn into contaminated beavers. Contaminated beavers, for the iron teeth, do just go into these pods. And then eventually they're better. I'm going to build 10 decontamination pods for now. 2 will have to wait. And that's just life. You know, that's beaver life. Sometimes you gotta wait. But you know what? This one did successfully build, and that's a single victory. See, and there are contaminated beavers are decontaminating in their little pods. So that'll just be something that has to happen. But, you know, it could have been worse. Could have flooded the whole thing rather than just a lot of it. It's over now. And that's what really matters, I think. The disaster is over. That could not have gone worse. Jeez. Hey, proof of concept, though. All the Badwater did end up down here, so this'll work next time. Things are looking up. Let's get rid of all these builders and get them back where they belong. And I'm actually going to delete all these because we don't need them. So I cannot say crisis averted there, because it has not been. Crisis has been kind of dealt with. It is being dealt with. These beavers will eventually all be fine, and I can delete most of these decontamination pods. Largely, Siltforge has survived. And by largely, I mean completely. Siltforge is fine. A little injured, but fine. And just to test out this system here, I'm going to pause it for a minute, and I'm going to close these sluices and open the ones down here. And as we can see, because this is pressurized, no water is getting out of here, and it will push everything out of our tunnel and not overflow anything. We'll see eventually this water will turn blue. And that all will work for keeping this reservoir from becoming contaminated. But it does not help with the fact that we are going to be wasting all of our bad water, sending it down this channel rather than down this river. So, to remedy that, let's add some power wheels to this channel. All right, so the plan is to just add some large water wheels. I am going to terraform a little bit over here to accommodate. And we'll detonate all this. And all this. And then I'm going to start with one water wheel right here. And then I will build a too high platform. The second I will build right here. I will give them a set of stairs there. And then they should be able to get that. And then in the back, they will just need a connection up there. And actually, we now don't have any unwell beavers, so I will delete all this. Now, my second water wheel I'm going to build here, which is going to present a problem. This is not going to generate a ton of power because the water level drops here. So I am actually going to also get some levees. And I'm going to fill this cliff out to there so that we continue to generate power here. And then I will once again build us a second water wheel with all of the bits and bolts we need. For the third water wheel in this line, I will need to drop this height by 1. And then I will once again need to put in some levees to keep our water level consistent. And then we will build a water wheel there. And a water wheel on the other side. And connect it up. Now, I could keep going here and build these water wheels out to the end of this channel. I'm not going to do that, mostly because this setup will generate even more power than is being generated over here, I believe. So I do not think it is entirely necessary to continue building water wheels that will only be used during bad tides. I will simply save us the materials and the work. Now we are going to get our first test of the system as it is going to be working from now on soon. We'll see how it's going to work in an actual bad tide. I'm also, just for safety's sake here, we're going to delete these stairs then, and they'll just have to build those back in. So, immediately we will notice that there is no bad water coming up through our reservoir system, and we should soon see some shoot up over here. Maybe. Oh, they're set to downstream depth. There we go. Woohoo! Okay. So now we will see Badwater flow up here. And as we will see, it will spin these two water wheels, which are going to generate power. This one will not be generating power because, as we can see, without the levees there, it's not actually going to be spun by the bad water. But we are generating, during the bad tide, some more power than before. Now, if I had really been smart about it, I would have put more levees here to keep the bad water actually flowing through the water wheels, but I guess that's another part of this project. And something like that should do the trick. Which will also make it a little easier to build these structures. And allow them to build from both sides here. There we go. With it restricted, that is generating a bit more power. How are they becoming unwell? How are they getting down here? Oh. Oh, beavers. Beavers. They find no shortage of ways to hurt themselves, do they? But other than that small little mishap, they're now up to 5 unwell beavers because they can't stop walking through the Badwater if they wanted to. We will see that the flow from here will stop soon, hopefully, and the reservoir will once again fill. And oh my god. And the beavers will continue to get themselves unwell. Because they hate me. I don't like this. This reads like they're gonna get themselves stuck. And with that, our power generation capabilities during bad tides have really skyrocketed. These are all going to produce about 250 to 280 horsepower. It's ultimately probably going to be about what we need to keep the industrial area over here running during a bad tide. So I would call that a success. And so with that all done, it's time to move on to Kenna cannot catch a break. They thought being head of the Siltforge Corps of Engineers would be a cushy job, designing a power generation facility here, a farming marvel there, maybe eventually putting into place their plan for a fully fledged tube-based transit system. They were not prepared for design a fully fledged sewer system under land that doesn't even belong to Siltforge to save the power generation capabilities of each bad tide. Not to mention the blatant disregard for worker safety practically baked into every single construction timeline. Somehow, even worse than dangerous, impossible plans, Rosin is now on their tail about something he once called a Badwater discharge, designed to expel bad water even during droughts. The safety risks are immense, not only to the system Siltforge already has in place, but also to the beavers of the colony themselves. But Rosin cannot be swayed, and Kenna relents. Besides, it's probably better than whatever other deeply unethical ideas are swirling around in Rosin's head. So the last and final thing I want to do in this episode is going to be, of course, getting a Badwater discharge for this Badwater discharge area, have it pump out, make sure that there is still power going through these water wheels during a drought. Probably won't be enough to actually power this area in and of itself until we add more water wheels, but it will give us a bit of extra power generation beyond just our engine here. So I'm going to start with a staircase up, and then I'm going to come down here to water, and the final option we have as the Iron Teeth is going to be the Badwater discharge. It's 4,000 science points, so less than we have, so we can just unlock that right away. It is going to cost us 300 gears, which we have 310, 200 metal, we have 198, and 50 dynamite, we have 99. We are just going to put that right here, and we are going to let the beavers build. And there we are. So as we can see, we're almost out of gears and metal blocks. But our Badwater discharge is complete. It does default to being closed. We want that to be open. Now, a Badwater discharge will remain open even when there is a drought. So, one thing I do want to make sure of, I'm going to close these sluices so that water stops flowing through here. And I'm doing that because I just want to make sure I'm pretty positive, yep, this is not going to cause there to be an overflow backwards up the river. So our crops over here should be fine even with this putting out bad water during a drought. We will see that it does lower the generation capabilities over here to about 300 or so. So not great, not the best at least. We can always add more water wheels, of course, if we want more power over here. I will also actually build us a few more engines over here, just to have a little backup so that during a drought we can have enough power generation to power everything that we need to power. But for now, let us see what happens as the bad tide hits. It goes through our sewer system, starts to turn all of our large power wheels, as well as our old power wheels being powered by the Badwater discharge up on top of the mountain. And if we look here, we will see that our power supply is near what it would be without a bad tide. Now we are a little bit under, so we are just going to turn on these engines, and that should bring us up near to what we need to keep everything running over here. So during the daytime, we have about 2,600 and we need about 2,600. So we are currently hitting exactly what we need with 2 engines running. Of course, we could turn off the number cruncher. That'll save us a ton of power. And then we will see that we are more than enough to keep everything over here running. And our last contaminated beaver does need to get a drink. But I don't know why he's going down here to get a drink. We will see that they are near uncontaminated. I think 1 or 2 days and they should be fine. And as that bad tide ends, we will see that a lot of our water up here did end up getting drained, but the system worked as intended. This part, the irrigation part of our system, is not contaminated at all. The reservoir is completely uncontaminated, and all of our bad water did go down this channel and out the side of our map. Meanwhile, we continued to produce enough power to run pretty much all of our industrial buildings, and we didn't even have to adjust any of the floodgates. Now, with everything back to normal, before I wrap up today's episode, there is one more thing I want to take care of. Because early on we built this water control structure as well as this water control structure. As we can see, the water from this one has started flowing out again. Our sluice gates here are completely fine letting the clean water through. The issue we are having is since our first bad tide, these sluice gates have not reopened. As we can see, they are currently saying they are at a 42% contamination. If we look back here, we can see that there is a somewhat contaminated bad water in here. And because of the way I have built this, it has nowhere to go. Even during a regular flood season, this just has to evaporate and be replaced by regular water for the contamination to get low enough that these sluices could actually open. That will never happen, from what I can tell. It's been 3 or 4 cycles since we built this, and it is still at 40%. So, I'm just going to give it an outlet. I'm going to take 2 dynamite. Going to have them build that. I'm going to blow. It's going to spill up real quick. And then we will see this water is now blue. I'm going to need to, once again, take a platform and an impermeable floor. And then I'm just going to put down 1 more sluice gate right there. We are, of course, going to go with the opposite settings to these sluice gates. So instead of close above contamination 1%, this is going to be close below contamination 0%. And then once those are both built, we should see this system kind of equalize and start putting blue water out. Well, even before it equalizes, it'll put the blue water out. And there we go. That small, simple fix should mean that once the next bad tide hits, the Badwater will escape out of this tiny hole. And when that bad tide is over, we will again have blue water pouring out and down the rest of our system. And that is where I'm going to leave this episode. I think it is kind of funny that despite all that has happened, you really can't see much other than the 6 giant water wheels that are now over here that has changed in our colony. But Siltforge now has a lot more power during extreme weather and can deal with bad tides without losing everything for a second time. So even if it's not very aesthetically different, it's still a win in my book. As always, if you want to continue to see episodes of Siltforge as they come out, then please consider subscribing or joining the Discord, which does include real-time notifications of anything I post relating to this channel. As well as announcements like, hey, this episode of Siltforge is going to be a little late. Or, you know, if I ever decide to try my hand at streaming or something, you'll know about it in there far earlier than you'll know about it here. So again, thank you for watching. I am cognizant of the fact that you could really be watching anything on the internet right now, and you're watching my silly little beaver stories. So I really do appreciate you. As we say, Siltforge presses forward. And during the next bad tide, Sinzo invites Kenna up to the Overlook to admire the success of their recent Badwater projects, which both completed with far fewer contaminated beavers than originally predicted. But Kenna is not in a celebratory mood. Recent inventory manifests have shown extract mysteriously disappearing from the record, beyond that which was used for dynamite or decontamination pods, with no beaver able to account for where it has gone. Kenna's interrogation is thorough, but Sinzo's denial is firm. Whatever he's doing with the extract, neither of them knows what Rosin is planning.